Hope everyone enjoyed their lunch. It's time to get back to the presentations. Our next speaker is Mr. Khalid Al Kayed, CEO of Bank Nizwa. Please give him a warm welcome to the stage.
I have to fix them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And very good afternoon. First of all, we have to thank MS Exchange for this opportunity and this gathering. And thank you, Hawra, for the introduce. I'd like to take you through the journey of Bank Nizwa, inshallah. And hopefully, we will cover, in short, the experience of Bank Nizwa being the first Islamic bank in Oman, along with introduction to the industry, because Bank Nizwa being the first introduced the first listed Islamic bank in Oman, and we are now the only listed Islamic bank in Oman, full-fledged. We went with the full experience of the banking experience, the Islamic banking in Oman, and I can, before I start flipping the slides, I can summarize the journey of Bank Nizwa in one statement. Actually, we opened our doors in early 2013, and at that time we started with a paid-up capital of 150 million. And as of today, in half one, we are talking about balance sheet size of 1.5 billion. So we moved from 150 million paid-up capital to 1.5 billion in total assets. This is a very, at a glance, about what we did during the less than 10 years. Yesterday, they talked about the youngest bank. We are less than 10 years old in this industry. So this is simply what we are doing here in Bank Nizwa. I'll start to take you also through some slides where we can shed lights on our journey and the outlook, not only for Bank Nizwa, but also for the industry. Also, before starting with this in summary, we at Bank Nizwa went through 3 phases of experience. We started phase 1, which was the startup phase. We started 2013. Actually, we started build up the bank in 2012, but we opened the door early 2013. From 13 to 15, it was the startup phase, where all the problems started there. You have to prepare the infrastructure, and you have to reach the market in parallel. And it's not only this, we've been responsible for not only establishing a new bank, but it was a new industry, because you have to introduce new products, and you have to deal with the community, all stakeholders with the new concepts coming here to the Sultanate of Oman, like Mudaraba, Murawaha, Ijara. Even with the bankers, the professionals, it was also a new industry. So the first phase of the bank, phase 1, it was a startup phase, and we managed actually to build the bank in a very strong infrastructure, which helped the bank to take the full journey in a very sustainable manner. The second phase, actually, it came with the concept of a growing phase, which started 2016 to 20. And this time, actually, we've been able to reach the market and to record actually a good market share. And there was a reach to the market where Bank Nizwa was able to reach the retail, corporate, and distribute the product services to all sectors in Oman. Phase 3, actually, it's the period from 21 to 25. We planned it very well under the concept of a stronger bank. So we moved from growing bank to a stronger bank. And in this phase, actually, unfortunately, it started with the global crisis, consequences of the corona. So maybe 20 as a year, it was not planned. So when we prepared the budget for 2019, we are not expecting. So we faced a real experience where Bank Nizwa, alhamdulillah, we managed to take this over. And maybe a quick readings to the financials, it showed that Bank Nizwa is one of the banks continued the growth, even though we went through these kind of crises. In summary, actually, we did identify our priorities. And this started sometime 2016 and forward. We identified our priorities and we communicated this heavily and frequently with all stakeholders, starting from the board and the management and the full staff. We said that our priorities are, number one, asset quality. So what does it mean? Because we are a bank, so the credit risk will be the major. If we are really thinking of sustainable growth of the bank, then we have to put this as a first priority to us, the asset quality. And all our decisions on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, it should consider the asset quality while we are making a decision. We have to assess the impact of our credit quality. And I can end this by saying that as of today, Bank Nizwa is the lowest non-performing ratio in the industry. Even we are the 9 years old, but we have a 9 financial cycles. We went through COVID implications. We are into rehabilitation stage now, but the results can show the focus actually and the efforts happened during this time. So the first priority was the asset quality. The second priority was the liquidity, because in banking there is a zero tolerance when it comes into liquidity, so you have to keep this. Take in consideration other elements, which is the nature of the Islamic banking and the maturity of the Islamic industry in Oman, saying that until today, after 9 years, we don't have financial instruments issued in Riyal Omani locally by central bank to manage the liquidity. So with that, you have to be in a preserved position to maintain a good liquidity position. So liquidity was number 2 of our priorities. And alhamdulillah, we managed, we took all the ratios, either locally or with the internally or with the regulatory side. So liquidity was number 2 in our priority. And the third one was the profitability, because we believe profitability, it's only as a result of a good management of the credit risk and the liquidity. This was during the years 15, 16, 17, 18. In 2019, actually, we integrated our digital strategy to our corporate strategy, and we started digital journey. And you will see in the slides that I think Bank Nizwa is the only bank where we have a committee at a board level dealing only with IT, cybersecurity, and we are benefiting a lot from this. Because the future, in our opinion, in the banking, we are moving from traditional way toward the new banking. And the new banking, it's more about the open banking. Previously, we used to open a branch physically. We have working hours from 8:30 to 1. So we are waiting clients to come to the bank and live the physical experience. The future, it's more about open banking, and bankers should follow each transaction in any network and get the value of the cash flows and the fees and the others. So this is the future, and they cannot done in isolation with a digital strategy embedded and integrated to the corporate strategy. So we managed to do this, and lately, now we are working also, we are working to integrate our ESG strategy to our corporate strategy, because we believe there are more of similarities between the ESG and United Nations objectives with the Sharia compliant objectives from Islamic finance perspective. So this is actually the introduction to the presentation talking about the journey of Bank Nizwa. And we ended with the outlook. We have a strategy 21 to 25. I think we have a very ambitious plan, and we have a very ambitious objectives. And we are sure that this will be translated into a more value and growing objectives to the bank in the coming 2-3 years. In order to confirm this, we started the banking, Islamic banking in Oman 2013, reached 15% of the market share in less than 10 years. Now it's remarkable. The conclusion and the fact today, the Islamic banking is an integrated part of the banking sector in Oman. It's a reality. There is a contribution. It's no more experience. It's a fact. And as we go, I think more of the contribution will come, and this all in line with the government direction when it comes into the diversification. The Islamic banking is a good example of diversification. Today, the Omani community, they have the alternative to reach the Islamic products and services as well as the conventional, and this is a good stage which we are reaching today. I have to start with disclaimer. Noted. This will be the agenda, actually. We have to touch on the Islamic banking landscape. This is very important. We believe Bank Nizwa is a mirror to the Islamic banking in Oman, and we are leading the way in Oman in the Islamic banking. The message here in Phase 3 strategy, our strategy at Bank Nizwa, it's beyond Bank Nizwa as institution. It's more about the industry. And our aim today in the coming 2-3 years, to 23, 24, and 25, we are working actually in all aspects to enlarge and enrich the ecosystem of the Islamic banking. So we have to engage with takaful, we have to engage with waqf, we have to engage with zakat funds, we have to engage with other investments funds like REITs and others, sukuk market. So we have to engage and work together in order to bring synergy. Our aim is to put the basics for something we may say that we have Islamic economy, part of the Omani economy, and we want to evaluate and put target for the coming period. We will review this periodically, each 3-5 years, but all should be aligned with the 2040 vision of Oman. So we want to reach a way that we are measuring the contribution of the Islamic economy of Oman toward the total economy of Oman overall. So this is actually the aim, and we are working on this now, inshallah, and maybe in coming 2-3 years, we may have some initiatives reflected in reality. This is very important to read here the Islamic banking in general. In the GCC, they started earlier. However, in Oman, we've been the last to come into the Islamic banking, but I think in Oman, we used the fast track to reach. There is some unique position to Oman of the acceptances of the Islamic products. So the market was actually accepting. So it was also easier for us to reach the retail at first stage. And I think my colleagues here from other banks and Islamic windows, they went through the same experience. The first phase, we easily reached, meet the retail requirements, auto, personal, house, but it was very difficult to convince the CFOs of the corporate side with our products, Ijara, Musharaka, diminishing Musharaka, Ijara, investments, Wakala al-Istithmar. It was not easy because the identification of the risk and the legal, it went through some time until we reached the acceptance. And this part or stage is already done, alhamdulillah, and the reflection or the confirmation today is the market share. In GCC in particular, the average market share is 25. Even we have some countries near, they already started Islamic maybe since 1997, 17, 18s, 19s. They are around 25%. In Oman, in less than 10 years, we are at 15%. Our expectation, based on our experience, I think this market share may hit 20% by 25. So there is opportunity to grow, and this is already identified, so it's easy to assess. So there is a potential for growth for this industry, and this is something good. Based on this, you see that 25% is the market share in the Islamic banking in GCC. Oman is part of that, so by logic, we are moving toward that, so there is a room for growth. When it comes also to Oman, the good story here, it was introduced by end of 2012. We opened doors 2013. 2 fully fledged banks and 5 Islamic windows. Market share reached 17%. 17% as of today in the financing and in the deposits. So these 17 may translate it into 20 in the near future. If we continue based on the current run rate, this is, I think it's achievable. So 20% of the market share in Omani banking sector is something very important. So there is something good to tell, and you can see the trend, how it's going through the last maybe 5 to 6 years. So this is also another. Here we are talking about the global Islamic finance. And Islamic finance, it's include, here I want to just touch on the assets distribution. This is very important because the Islamic finance, it's include usually the banking, Islamic banking, include fully fledged and windows, takaful, sukuk market, Islamic funds, others. So the Islamic banking globally is around 70%. Usually sometimes reduced 65, but it's also 60 above for the last couple of years. So the major contribution to the Islamic banking is the banking sector. Takaful in Oman, they are in a better position compared to global. However, there is opportunity. So this is very important. And the Islamic finance, it's driven by the banks, even though the sukuk market is it's a huge market, and it's usually, for the last couple of years, we witnessed the sovereign issuance of sukuk. It's brought a large portion. But this is very important. I want to just shed lights on this because there is some implications on the future for that. This is another good story to tell. I think Oman have a very successful story when it comes into Islamic banking. And we are proud, and we have to appreciate the efforts done by Central Bank of Oman and CMA on this. Honestly, based on my experience on this, they prepared the infrastructure for us just to run, not to walk. And we have to appreciate this. The central bank regulations is one of the best. Even other countries, now they are coming to simulate the Omani regulations. And it was a very professional, comprehensive, up-to-date regulations. For myself, I used to work on this for a couple of years, but when I read it, I learn a lot. So this infrastructure helped the industry a lot. CMA also, the issuance of the laws of Sukuk and others REITs also supported and pushed this ahead. So one of the elements of the successful story started with the regulators. Then we followed up with them, and they understand the experience day after day. We've been in a very connected matters on all these subjects. We get the advice from them, we explain, and they are very flexible to take us to the second level. So Oman, in less than 10 years, they ranked number 9 on the global Islamic banking in a different actually measures, but market share and the growth will be the highest on the growing the fastest on the growing criteria. So this is also another good example to talk about the experience and the value added to the economy. Because when we started, we talked about Bank Nizwa as a standalone. Today, we are at 1.5 billion of balance sheet, and we have 1.150 billion in financing, and there is a value. We have more than 750 in corporate, 450 in retail, and you can imagine the contribution to the economy and to the community of Oman. Now, this is Bank Nizwa journey. We touched on a couple of things in the summary, but it's good to mention that Bank Nizwa, we are par with the sovereign rating, BA3. This is in less than 10 years. Today, Bank Nizwa is equal to Bank Muscat, to Bank Dhofar, to other banks. We reached this by independent rating agencies, where they actually analyze the bank from all the different angles, and based on the support of the shareholders and the future of the industry, we reached this. And this is a milestone for us. When it comes into the capital, we started 150. Today, we are 220. Last year, even with COVID, we managed to get 70 million, equal to 45% of our capital, actually contributed by our shareholders. because they actually saw the potential of the growth. Those are our main shareholders. طبعا shareholders changed. The Bank Nizwa was an idea brought by Sheikh Saud Al-Khalili, Allah yarhamu. He was the one who is the promoter, and we learned from him a lot. He bought the infrastructure. There was a forming committee at the beginning, headed by Sheikh Ahmed Al-Rawahi as well, and then converted to the first board. Today, the shareholders mix changed, started with a fledged investments with 35%, and we have civil service employees pension funds 8%, PASI, public authority, 7.5%, Al Ghadir investments 5%, and Diwan Overall Code Pension Fund 5%, and others. This journey, I just touched on a couple of things. Maybe we started in 2012, preparing the infrastructure, bring the team. We are very proud of our team, alhamdulillah. We are at 90% Omanization, at the management level 75%. This is a new industry. You still need some experience on this, but we managed to reach a good sustainable position. With all what we did, it's a summary of the three phases of the bank. Startup phases, the first 3 years, 2013, 15. Then we went through the growing phase, 16 to 20. Last 2 years, we paid the first time dividends, first year and second year. And I think the dividends now is an open option for us because we reached a position where we will be able to continue with this. In phase 3, which is 21-25, as I mentioned, our strategy, it's beyond the institution of Bank Nizwa. It's more about the industry. Our aim is to lead this industry and take it to the second level. In Bank Nizwa, we are open for the growth opportunities, organic, non-organic. We have also plans. We have also planned to cross the borders of Oman and open outside Oman. We have a strong brand. We will try to do some business where we are unable to do it today. We can do it in the near of the Islamic finance centers on the region. So we have this plan in this phase. Along with the digitalization. In digitalization also we are very important. We believe this is an integrated part of our strategy. We strongly believe the digitalization will put the Islamic banking in a good proposition, and it will give a competitive advantage versus the conventional. Why? First, traditionally, from 17th, 18th, 19th, and cross-border, the process of doing banking in Islamic, it's little bit longer, more of documentation, legal, Sharia. You have to sign this time because if you miss this, all the revenues will go to the charity, so you have to be careful. This is the normal Islamic banking traditions we used to do, but today we introduce the smart contracts. Today, Bank Nizwa, part of our digitalization, we are almost 30% completion, but we have digital onboarding full, including AML. So client can even be on board with the bank, clarified. He can also do transfer digitally with the bank. We will actually deliver the card or cards to the client. And also we have two products, personal finance and auto finance, where the client can do it using the digital without reaching the bank. The pre-approval will be assigned immediately at agency level. Why we are saying that? Because this will actually eliminate all the operational issues. The most important, will give a new experience to the clients, okay? But for the bank with the age of Bank Nizwa and the other, like Al-Azz and other windows, we cannot, and for me, I cannot compete with Bank Dhofar or Bank Muscat to reach Oman by having 100 branch, 150 branches. It will take 20, 10 years, 15 years, and it will take us through a long way. So now the fast way to reach is through digitalization. So if we implement the digitalization in a correct way, we will have a fast and more effective cost reach to the market. Bank Nizwa will open next month and the month after the first digital branch at Muscat Mall. It will be fully automated branch in a new experience, open, and without any interaction from our clients. So we are moving with this because this digitalization matter will not only empower bankers, but the whole industry will benefit of this, and we will use the fast track to reach the clients and to make a reach to all the segments. Take in consideration the segments, we will touch later about it when it comes into the business, whom we are targeting, and how can we reach. So digitalization is something very, very important to be used effectively and in a good way. So with that, I'll move. One of our strength position is the governance. We have a robust governance structure. Actually, you have the names of the board of directors, but also we have the committees. And as I mentioned, the Information Technology Committee is the only bank having this committee. Honestly, as a CEO, it's given me a lot of support when it comes into the implementation of the digital initiatives. We have experienced directors. They are onto this actually field, and we are getting a lot of support in this regard. Another element very important to mention in the Islamic banking is the Sharia board. I think in Oman in particular, one of the also, after the regulators when touched on central bank and CMA, the scholars, the Sharia scholars, they provided a lot of trust to the banks, including Bank Nizwa or other windows, because this actually on the retail side opened the market to us a lot, because this is a reflection of the confidence and trust of the people whom are on our board. In name by name, this is the second board actually. The first board already replaced. We have Sheikh Dr. Majid Al-Kendi, we have Dr. Azzan from Malaysia, and we have Dr. Ali Al-Jahdami also, he's part of that. Along with that, we have also executive committee from the Omani scholars where they are dealing with us in a shorter periods for any inquiries needed to ensure that we are in line. This is our hierarchy. Also, at align with the board, this is the management. We have the businesses, it's a common, but we have 4 committees at Bank Nizwa level. We have Credit Investment Committee, Asset Liability Committee, IT Steering Committee, and Management Committee. Those are the main committees which we are actually running with. Financial performance. We have a key financials just to review without further elaboration. Total assets in 2017, we almost at 700 million. As of today, I think we are at 1.4 and 1.5. So you can see the growth. This is actually looks like you are running in a very normal external factors and economical situation. We are not accounting for the corona and all what happened. We continued actually our growth in a very steady, sustainable manner. You can look into the equity from 130 to 137. The reason for that, we need to grow. We started from 700, 1 billion you need capital. This is the banking. So due to the growth, accelerated the growth, we actually, our board, our shareholders supported us on the capital. Financing and customer deposits. In banking, usually, both the conventional and the Islamic, we segregate the management of the bank, we segregate the balance sheet into 2 parts. One, we call it the customer's balance sheet, which is the financing and the deposits, because in the banking, you are dealing with 2 main elements, which usually it's around 70 to 80% of the balance sheet. But in banks, the capital adequacy maximum 15, 16. So those are the 2 main elements you have to manage it correctly. And the reflection of all risk will come mainly from here, the credit risk and the liquidity risk. So when you are dealing at a 100% deposits financing, it means you are a little bit conservative. You are not using other fund. You are managing within the customers. Then you have the impact of the mix of the deposits. If you have CASA, current account saving at a larger side, this is also important. This is the way you have to look into the financials. And you can see there is a steady growth in 2 elements together, from 561 financing in 2017, reached to 1.2 billion. In deposits from 526 to 1.2 billion. So we are at a 100% AD ratio. So our deposits equal to our financing. So we have a room to grow easily, but we are conservative. We are managing the bank at this level, but we can't do it at this level. But we are conservative because of the situation. Tomorrow, in the coming 2 years, the market will change. We have appetite to grow. This is also important because you need to see everything in a one show. Total operating income, 22, 44, 25 in 6 months, so target is 50. So from 22 to 50 again. So you can see the growth in the balance sheet elements. It's also aligned with the growth in the revenues. So earning assets is the main driver to bring the value to the bank. When it comes into total operating expense, from 22 to 44, this is the total operating income. So again, on the cost to income ratio, we will see it in another slide. There is a good juice, which is the difference between the revenues growth and the expense growth. It's going positive to the revenue side, and this is a sign of the sustainability and the earning quality of any institution. Capital adequacy, 17, reduced to 13, then jumped up to 18 and going. This is very important in capital management. It's a very important part to consider in banks. And Bank Nizwa can be categorized as a well-capitalized because you have under-capitalized and you have over-capitalized. So some banks now, they are going to do some return of equity. They will return the money to the shareholders because any reason. Maybe they are unable to utilize or they want to do something. You have to be in a well-capitalized position. Bank Nizwa in that. We are in a well-capitalized position because there is a cost to the capital and you have to generate revenues and income to the shareholders. So it's an acceptable level. Our next trend actually, by 25, we need to reach 2 billion. So I want to reach 2 billion, then asset risk should be also accounted, and then will be another jump on the capital. So we'll ask. But this will come all into together, consequently. Non-performing ratio from 1 till 2017, we've been less than 1%. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, no non-performing assets in Bank Nizwa. We are new, that's fine. But even 2021, all the global market impacted, we went up to 1.3. And I think today we are at 1.6, post-corona. One of the lowest rates, not only in Oman, but also in the GCC. This is very important. It's asset quality, priority, and this is a reflection of the asset quality. With the growth, we have to grow, you have to maintain, it's double hatting task. Return on asset, return on equity, 1%, 6.5, it's in line with the industry. So we are fine with this aside. Prudent balance sheet management, there is a reflection. You can see only in one statement, we have a double-digit growth. So either in the compound or in a regular growth. Assets, financing, deposits is going in a double-digit growth, and you can see the years and the trend, how it's going. Again, what we mentioned, from 700, 1.5, and this is, we already touched in the previous slide on the same. Net profit after tax. This is the profitability. What we believe there should be a match between the balance sheet and the income statement. What we are doing in the balance sheet, adding financing, adding deposits, both investments, there is a reflection. And the reflection will go to the income statement. So you have to read it together. And this is a result of the good or prudent management of the balance sheet. It's reflected on the income statement. You can see operating income, growth, compound, 18, operating expense, 8%. So the juice here is going positive toward the revenues. We are growing the revenues more than, even though Bank Nizwa is a new bank, we are investing a lot. We are yet to depreciate the assets. We are adding more assets to our digital, but we are maintaining this gap positively. Pre-provision profit, 37%. And net profit after tax, 34%. Bank Nizwa for the last couple of years is contributor to the Minister of Finance because we are paying tax of 15%. Alhamdulillah, we are positive on this. And it is very important to look into this when it comes into operating income from 22 to 44, double digit, almost 18% growth. The operating expense is moved from 16 to 22, so 50%. So the gap, the positive jaws is there. Provisions, you can imagine, pre-provision profit from 5 million to 21 million, and cash net profit after tax. Last year, we closed at 12.5 million net of tax profit the year. Now, the outlook, what we believe in Bank Nizwa, and I think also the other Islamic banks and Window, we have a room to enhance these results more. I will not share with you the budget for this year. It's very tough. It's more than 12.5. We are going in line so far. But in the coming 2 years, 23, 24, we are expecting overall the banking sector in Oman and the region and globally, the ECL, the expected credit loss, to be reduced because the impact of COVID and Corona, whatever, already taken by the banks and with the regulations over 2021, 22. So the build-up should be relaxed, going to the normal, general provision rather than more specific. So they should be like a hike on the profitability. So we will go to another level on the profitability because of the ECL impact, and this applies to all. The second element on the Islamic banking in Oman in particular, Central Bank is working now to introduce instruments to manage the liquidity. And I think it will come very soon, maybe maximum next year. By having this, the Islamic banks and Window, Treasury also, they will manage this very well. They will have opportunity to invest a very effective way to manage the balance sheet. So even if you have surplus with Central Bank, you will start gaining profit on that. And for example, if I have 20 million over the required reserve with the Central Bank today, I don't have any instruments. So this will stay with a zero profit. If Central Bank introduced this with 1%, 2%, then each bank and Window will enhance the profitability by some amount. So the next 2 years, we are expecting for the Islamic banking, Bank Nizwa in particular, a hike on the profitability going forward due to the ECL and due to the management of the liquidity, which is now with the Central Bank without any earnings. So this is two elements we have to consider positively for the coming period. Strategy. People. Personally, I strongly believe people can make the difference if you have the experienced people, the trusted people, you will make a lot of things. So this is very important. We are putting a lot of focus on this, quality. Disciplined credit and investment decisions. This is very important, the governance and the experience. So the people at the bank doing the credit decisions and doing the asset liability decisions, they have discipline governance-wise, and also they have the experience to make a good decision. Sometimes we met for 2-3 hours, but there is no decision because we believe we have to do further due. So there is a due diligence, adequate due diligence, experienced people, discipline governance. This actually led to the asset quality, to non-performing, to the liquidity, to the profitability. This is very important. Segment-focused business, we will touch on this. We started new banking. You are looking to all the segments. Then you will focus on one segment. You will reach. Then you will open door to look into second segment and focus a retail. We started, for example, a couple of years in a youth segment, then a women's segment, for example. But now, at this age, at this stage, we are looking to the all segments. So I want to cover all segments between wholesale banking, retail, SME, and others. So focus on segments, something very important, part of the diversification and reach. So it's like solid capital base. We touched on this. We are in a well-capitalized position. This is very important. So we are, alhamdulillah, for the coming couple of years, we'll not ask the shareholders to give us. We will give them dividends, inshallah. We introduced high five strategy a couple of years, 5 years back. because we believe this also will part of the Bank Nizwa culture. You introduce your team to, they have to know we need to gain more market share. We have to keep the growing of the market and solidify the leadership position of Bank Nizwa, leading the way of Islamic banking in Oman. This is our actually aim. Financial performance is very important. So it's a reflection of all what we are doing. Today, if you go to the bank from 8 o'clock, everyone is operating and everyone is busy. But at the end of the day, what's the result? يعني أسمع حبا ولا أرى أسمع طحنا ولا أرى حبا. فضروري we have to balance the effort and the outcomes. You have to monitor this. You need to see this. Don't leave it to end of the month to assess and come to fix. You need to see it. You need to track it. You need to forecast it. And if you have forecast, you need to follow. Are you reaching or not? So this is also something we need to be built in the culture of our staff at Bank Nizwa. Technological advancement and the progressive organization, this is linked together. We have a very ambitious plan in digitalization, and we are moving with this. We have GM IT operations taking care of that. We have a task force. We have IT steering committee at a management level, IT steering committee at a board level. So we are doing all that together. Sustainable future. This is something we started sometime. Sorry. خلصنا. Okay, stakeholders focused. We selected customers, employees, shareholders, regulator. We are at a zero tolerance with regulators. We have a clean records with central bank. Alhamdulillah, we don't have issues CM as well. So we are taking care and a balanced approach of all stakeholders. And this was our strategy during Corona and the implications. We said bankers, we are taking a balanced approach across all the stakeholders. So you need to do this balance between all. Otherwise, it will not make that value. Again, maybe this is similar to what we already talked about, the asset growth and the revenue growth. You can see the link between the growth in balance sheet and the growth in income statement. They are in parallel going together. And it's more sustainable because it's coming from the core activities of the bank. So Bank Nizwa now, we have opportunity to come into new areas and identify the new revenues generating sources of investments banking, green sukuk, PPP projects and others. Capital, we already touched on the position because of the time. I have to run a little bit. Asset quality, I will not touch because we touched already on the asset quality. Profitability also, and funding and liquidity. Again, we are at AD ratio 100%. We put a limit on the wholesale banking borrowing, which is the interbank. We have only 5%, and we keep it to be used at emergency. So it's all going in a very sustainable structure. Businesses, we have three main sectors. They are providing the revenues to the bank: wholesale banking, retail, and treasury and investments. Wholesale banking, we have a good reach. We have 750 million on the financing. We reached all the sectors: project finance, normal corporate, SMEs, everything. And we are covering now our strategy in the wholesale banking. We need to have a one actually point of service, introducing transactional banking, more of digitalization, trade finance, so the customer will come from introducing opening account, getting financing, treasury services, investment services, advisory. So our aim is to have all these in a one panel at a corporate level. Retail banking, this is very important to mention here. The retail banking represents around 38% of the mix. So 38 to 62. And in other banks, I witnessed yesterday, it was less, 20, 25. It's very important to know that for sustainability, retail contribution should be also at a higher level, more than 30, 35. In Islamic in particular, should be, because this is a sustainable. When you have a one financing for housing, for example, it will come 15 years. So 15 years you are getting revenues. So this is part of our sustainability to maintain and not to go less than the 35 to. We need to keep it at 40% in the retail side. Automation, digitalization is the future of the retail. So now in Bank Nizwa, we identified digital-only customers, physical and digital customers, and only physical customers. Physical customers without mobile application, without internet access. So we'll be taking them migrate them to the bar. So having the digital will enhance the way we are doing retail banking and adding more. We have wealth management and we have all these things. Treasury and investment, I think this is the opportunity which will come, inshallah, in the future. We have a lot of opportunities in treasury and investments. The outlook, I agreed with what mentioned yesterday in the Oman macroeconomic situation. I will not add a lot, but this is a positive signals we are waiting to see. And this is the end. Thank you so much, and I'm ready to take any question if there is a time. Thank you. Shukran.
Are there any questions for Mr. Khalid Al-Kayed?
تفضل. Update? Yeah. Well, I think you have the same answer. Well, we are on the same page on the merger. We are in the process, and we will be updating whenever there is a development. So I have the same answer, Mr. Ahmed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is our plan, which we are going with. And in parallel, there is a due diligence on the merger. So we are moving with this. Any developments will be disclosed. We are moving in. Alhamdulillah. No worries. Thank you. Shukran.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
Shukran.
Mr. Khalid
Shukran.
Al-Kayed.
Thank
We
you.
can continue with today's agenda. We have something very exciting coming up, but we have Aridu presenting first. Not that that's not exciting, it is as well. We have Mr. Abdulrazak Al-Balushi, Chief Financial Officer, presenting for Aridu. Can we please welcome him to the stage with a round of applause?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Thank you to Borsat Muscat for inviting us here and joining this interesting event. I'll try not to spend much time on the presentation and try to be quite quick because I know after having lunch, people want to leave. So I have to press the, how I can move the slides. So before we start, I want you to read this one before I go forward. I'm just joking. I think this will take itself. Okay, so let's start basically from the Oman 2040 technology vision. There's 4 pillars, main pillars actually, which is the people and the society, economy and development, governance and institutional, and environment and natural. So these are the key 4 pillars for the technology vision. And also there are 10 national targets, which are the key indicators, which is manufacturing, logistics, tourism, fisheries and mining, and ICT education. And also there are ICT sector, enable economic sector, cyber security, smart cities. So you can see the vision of the government 2040. This is itself is a key indicator for the growth for the telecom industry. So you can see you can foresee the technology and the telecom industry is going to move forward and grow further if these all visions are executed on a timely manner. Ooredoo established in 2005. At the time, the technology was 2G, and at the time, it was only having the license of mobile, and the focus of the company was on prepaid market only. At the time, employees were only 300 at that time, with 15 base stations and only 10 roaming partners. As we gone further in 2009 and evolving technology of 3G, we introduced the first B2B and mobile products with fixed license, which was granted by the TRA, Telecom Regulatory. Company continued to focus on the mobile data, offering with 3G launch at that time, and also as technology evolves to IGW and WiMAX, it's become fully integrated telecom provider in Oman. It also launched its successful IPO. I understand it was one of the most successful IPOs at that time. And also it enhanced its responsibility towards the shareholders and wider society stakeholders. In 2015, company continued to grow and focus on the areas of B2B and B2G. It also established a robust corporate governance within the company to ensure all the compliances are in order. Ooredoo also at the time rebranded its name from Norris to Ooredoo in 2015. In 2017, we signed a contract with MVNOs and also with OBB, Oman Broadband. In 2017, we also had a program of Tahaddi. That means we wanted to get, at the time when there was an announcement of the third operator, we started to having our strategy called Tahaddi to get ready for managing the third operator competition. In 2020, the 5G launch, with the mobile and the fixed sector, we also renewed our license for the fixed and mobile for further 15 years. And there was a royal decree launched at that time. In 2021, we signed agreement actually with the third MNO, Vodafone, to host them in our network. More than 2006 mobile site, now at this point, more than 600 5G sites we have now at this moment. We continue to focus on new business, and then we continue to also focus on new technology. We also launched data to cloud, and we continue to enhance and evolve our technology. We will also focus and lead on digital transformation as the industry is moving towards. So our vision in Oman is enriching people's digital life. I think digital is the key focus for the country. So we will continue to be partner and we will ensure to make this a successful story. We have 5 strategic pillars for next year's plan. So we continue to focus on regional. We will ensure that we focus on the regional areas in Oman. And also we ensure that the mobile and fixed data is also reached to all the regions, interior and as well Batna and other areas, including Salalah, Musandam. We will continue to focus on digitalization. So we'll ensure we are enriching digital experience. And also we'll focus on the big data through the digitalization, and also enhance the digital transformation of the company. The company will also focus on the performance-driven culture in the company. We will also start focusing on the restructuring of the setup for the future as we go, because we have to catch up with the technology. So we have to enhance the skills and the talent of our employees. We also would like to focus on grow new businesses. So we'll focus on the ICT and B2B, B2C, and also on the wholesale to ensure that we capture the right market. In terms of technology, we will continue to focus on the data. We will ensure that traffic is managed and available for everyone. We focus also the 5G user will enhance the sites, so we'll add more additional sites of 5Gs and ensure that it's available in most of the regions. We will continue to focus also on the data growth, and we'll invest in the data growth. We'll ensure that all the population in Oman is covered with and connected with the telecom services. In terms of market, we will continue to enhance our customer base and enhance our customer market share. We will ensure that complaints are less, and we ensure the ratio is maintained at the benchmark level. We will continue to focus on customer experience through our new call center, and also enhance and increase the digital users through our apps and other products. We will ensure we are well positioned in the market as well. We will also ensure that our churn is reduced and managed. So the growth will continue in mobile, so we'll continue to grow in mobile and fixed, and also will invest in ICT and wholesale businesses. We will continue to also to reach the customer experience through our distribution revamp strategy, and also focus on retail excellence. Plus, we will ensure also digitalization, continue analysis, and also build people capabilities and bring talents in line with the evolving technologies. In terms of revenues, we reached 129 million in Q2, which is an increase of 2.1% compared to the last year. It's mainly driven by the growth in wholesale and higher device sales. EBITDA was 68.7 million, increased by 5.2% compared with the last year. We continue to provide and give stable distribution of dividend since listed in the market. So you have a successful story of paying stable dividend payment. Net profit increased by 21.23% compared with the last year. The increase is mainly driven by the higher EBITDA. Mobile postpaid grew by 32.1%. We did not mention too many numbers here because we are a listed company. Any information you require, you can reach directly to us, and also through the platform you can get all this information. We continue to also invest in data centers. So we have a new data center in Sohar, Barka, and Salalah. So mainly to host and enhance our reach, international reach, as well regional reach, through providing technologies such as 5G, cloud services, IoT, and other high potential growth areas. We also have another arm of ICT. It's called Data to Cloud. We own 70% of that, which is also provide ICT solutions, cloud and co-location, backup, securities, and other services. In details, so Data to Cloud, they provide co-location, virtual machines, and backup, DR, security, call center, IoT, you name it, whatever. In terms of compliance, we have achieved all the main certificates, so we are compliant with most of the certifications. Reporting and compliance, we also actually complied with the ECG as we are part of the Ooredoo group, though it's not mandatory at this point in Oman, but we are still following and focusing on these two areas, also the ICOFAR and ESG. Thank you very much. I try to be very fast and quick, not to bore you much. If any question, please. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Maybe a quick question, يعني, just wondering about the continuous decline in the performance of Ooredoo. What explains it and what is the recovery plan?
The main decline was coming actually from the prepaid, and prepaid is driven by the population actually. This is driven by mainly because of the pandemic and population reduced, the blue collars reduced. So the main focus was on more, actually the main 70% of our revenue comes from the prepaid. That was the main driver to that. But you can see the recovery. It is recovering now. I think as the momentum of the economy is coming up, so it's picking up. So the growth is coming now gradually. And we do have certain programs, one of which we have already mentioned there, revamp of distributions. So we are enhancing our reach, also regional reach, so we can reach to our customers and enhance the revenues of the prepaid.
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
We've seen that the ARPU has been declining
Yeah.
in Oman since 3 years now, I think, or even 4. We see that Ooredoo is also focused on the postpaid market. Do you project that the prices for the postpaid services are going to decline in the coming few years?
No, I think the postpaid is more, I think it's growing actually. We have seen a growth in our postpaid actually. And also the ARPU is also improving. The reason ARPU is decline in between, mainly because of the price war. Because of the price war, there was some, but I think TRA is now managing this type of competition. They will ensure that there is a cap of ARPU maintained.
So for the postpaid services, we assume that the prices are going to stay within similar.
I think the
levels.
prices will be stabilized, and also we see as an Ooredoo, we see a growth in the postpaid.
Okay. We also see that the telecom trend right now in the world, companies are going asset light.
Yes.
Are we assuming that that Ooredoo is going to follow?
Yes, we are also working on our passive towers. So that project is work in progress. We are working on that. I think, already launched a teaser of the project in the market, and we are awaiting for the response. That is just a teaser, and we'll take it after that from after seeing the results. Yeah.
One last question with regards to Vodafone.
Yeah.
Vodafone right now is operating mainly in the prepaid market.
Yes.
How would you project Ooredoo's performance if and when Vodafone starts taking market share in the postpaid market as well?
Yeah, I think we have been working on our strategy since 2017 on the Tahaddi. We call it Tahaddi. So we have well prepared actually ourselves against how to manage the battle of the third MVNO.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are there any more further questions for Mr. Abdel Razak Al Balushi?
All good.
Any further questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Abdel Razak, for your presentation. It was very insightful. We have two potential IPOs being announced before we conclude today's conference. First, let's begin with the gas network company. We have Mansour Al-Abdali, Managing Director, and Khalid Al-Qasabi, Vice President of Finance, presenting for us. Can we please welcome them to the stage? أنت تبي هذا next pointer ما أعرف والله.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to all of you. They say save the best for last. And so I bring the disclaimer to your attention. Be aware of it, please. My name is Mansour Abdali. I'm the Managing Director of OQ Gas Network. I have almost 27 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. I started with BDO with 15 years in operation, maintenance, and engineering of surface facilities and pipelines. The rest of my career was with the former OGC, and it's now gas network, OQ Gas Network. I have also my colleague who is looking after our finance with a robust 17 years of experience in the financing sector. Today, basically, we want to just introduce our company to the market. And OQ Gas Network was established in the year 2000. If some of you remember the former OGC, which was established in 2000 to look after the operation of the gas pipelines. And the company in the year 2019 integrated with other almost 8 assets to form the brand of OQ. So the company is now 100% owned by OQ. And OQ is in the supply chain of the full chain of the oil and gas business. We have operations and assets in the E&B side, the exploration and production. We are in the petrochemicals. We are in the refinery. We recently started the LPG plant in Salalah. We have an NGL plant in Fahoud, which provides the main feedstock to the Liwa plastic project. OQ is also owning international assets. We have a large chemical plant in Germany, which has operations also in America and China. And we are in the business of trading as well. And the gas network comes in between. So basically, we consider ourselves as a midstream business. Our network connects, goes all over the country. And you must have driven over our pipelines. You cannot have avoided it. So we start all the way from the border with UAE at Buraimi. We connect to the Dolphin project. And there is a gas supply point there. Then the network connects all the industrial estates, all the power plants, all the basically the industry that runs on gas. and it goes all the way to Salalah. We have we connect to the power plant. Our last hub there is the Mirbat power plant. The extent of the network almost 4,000 kilometers. It's a very high pressure system, and we're proud to say in the year 2021 we delivered 37 billion cubic meter of gas. That's an average of almost 120 million standard cubic meter per day. We are the only gas transporter in the country, and our network connects almost 60 customers, those primarily running and operating on gas. And in the year 2018, we changed our financial model where we became the real transporter. So basically, those the assets, 2018 onwards, we are the owners of the assets beside the operators. And for that, we became also regulated because the MEM, which is the main shipper of the gas, they are only owning the molecules. They book capacities into our system, and we deliver it to the various connected parties, we call them, in Sohar, Muscat, Duqm, Sur, Salalah, and we do also connect to other like Sur, Oman LNG. This is a key client for us. And the connected parties here, they become also the gas suppliers, because we also, all those big players in the gas like BP, BDO, Oxy, OQ, ARA, and other small gas producers, they connect to our network. We have a long-term concession, so our concession extends for 50 years. Starting to the 2018 all the way to the year 2067, and this is, you can imagine, this is one of the longest concession in the country. So here we are. All the power plants and desalination plants connects to us. So, for example, yesterday we have the power dip. First thing I could call, do we have the network available? And surely we are very proud the network has been available with a very high availability record. All the industrial estates and commercials, the petrochemicals, even the E&P business, because some of them, they require gas to supplement their oil operation. They are connected. And we are very proud also our key customer, Oman LNG, who take the largest share on the gas transported through the network. We put hydrogen there. It's okay, for now it's an aspiration, but honestly, we are also preparing ourselves, because we see there's a lot of initiatives being done in this business, and maybe Khalid will talk more about this. But we are already testing the network for its readiness to transport gas. We have the preliminary work. It's promising at a low percentage of hydrogen, but we are also expanding this study to see other effects into our customers as well. The growth of our network is basically supporting the country's vision 2040. And when I'm saying that, just whenever there is investment and gas allocation to any consumer, the company immediately works in the making the connection available. Okay, so what we're doing, we're leveraging on the gas availability in the country, and we're quoting this. This is a market data, and you can see that all the big players are having business in Oman, either directly or indirectly. And for that, you can see how the network has grown. So when in the inception of the company in the year 2000, it's almost the average gas per day, 40 million. But we're very proud to see this year we've broken the record of almost 126 million cubic meter per day. And we're growing it in volume, but also in asset size. So we started with almost very few hundred of kilometers, and now you can see we have almost more than 4,000 kilometers of high pressure systems. Besides, we have also, we've took over the Madain customers. That's almost 100 other small consumers. This is networks operating on low pressure and being transferred to our to the company. We are also very proudly connecting to the NGL plant. We supply them gas, and those guys responsible for making the raw material for Liwa Plastic. Oman OQ LPG, which was also commissioned recently. They are connected and to our network, and other. We're also proud of Duqm. So we have now a gas supply station, and we recently started commissioning supplying gas to OQ8. And having said that, our operational records, we are very proud. Our gas availability is at 99.99%. So it's a very reliable operation. We have a team located at key locations in the country to make sure we immediately tackle any operational constraints to sustain the gas supply to our consumers. Okay, for that I will ask Khalid to explain more about our financial model. Khalid, do you want to?
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, and delighted to be here. And thank you for sticking around at this time of the day. And thank you MSX for hosting us. My name is Khalid Al-Qassabi. I'm a VP of Finance in OQ Gas Network. So as mentioned by Mansour, we have been operating with a new operating model, regulated asset framework, with effective date 2018, supporting with two legal royal decree, one to appoint the regulator, and the other is actually to ratify the amended concession agreement to the new concession agreement, and so that, given the RAB framework, the force of law. Because we have a very predictable cash flow, and we'll see what are the elements of our cash flow, probably in the right side of this slide. We also have secured a very efficient long-term funding facility. And we have delivered visible revenue stream at the regulated asset base, an approved cost of capital, which reviewed in a very transparent framework and reliable manners. The gas network regulator is a well-established regulator, has been there in the sector for quite so long. They've been regulating the electricity sector since the privatization started. So it's actually also provided by the Authority for Public Services, and they have seen and proven, perceived as well, to be a very independent, what they call stakeholder in the framework of RAB. To the right side, it's actually why we said it's a very predictable cash flow for us, is because it has a very few elements as of now. That's our cash inflow. And it doesn't actually depend on the volume of the gas that is being delivered. It has a very low risk when it comes to liabilities to, I wouldn't say a failure, but a shutdown. So delivery of the gas is very limited in terms of the tariff agreement with our shipper, Ministry of Energy and Mineral. We have 4 elements in our revenue, which is the OPEX allowance. Normally we have the OPEX allowance reviewed and challenged by our regulator every 3 years. The second element of our inflow is the depreciation allowance, and we would say that we are actually building a base in 2.6 billion as of today of asset-based asset. We have a leverage in the tax allowance, so we're getting compensated for the tax. We, to some extent, also have a leverage to claim some of the inflation. The predominant revenue aspect in our portfolio is actually the finance income. And it's calculated based on the agreed weighted average cost of capital, which also getting revamped and reviewed every 3 years. So what we are showing is a very secure revenue basis, secure inflow of cash, and that's why we have accessibility to the facility from our financial institutes. So this is just a very high-level financial background of 2021. As we said, we have a regulated asset base of 2.5 million. That is increasing year on year. Last year, we have spent CapEx in the growth of 170 million. That is our expectation for the coming 3 years as well. So we are also acquiring assets. As Mansour mentioned, we have recently acquired Madain. We are in the phases of negotiation of acquiring more assets. So the asset base is actually the dominant revenue generation for our portfolio. And that's a fruit of our EBITDA as well. We have generated a revenue of almost 410 last year with approximate EBITDA of 200 million. We have an equity of around 1.4 billion, again, as of 2021. In the hydrocarbon and green energy, we are as well going as per Oman hydrogen development. So we're leveraging a lot in the research and the studies, both existing and both existing and upcoming one. So we see ourselves, we see the business with a big potential of a growth when it comes to hydrocarbon. So we already evaluating our network to check their capabilities to accommodate in the hydrogen. And as with Eastern companies, they already have engaged this area, and so we are. So we already engaged in the area of hydrogen, and we have potentiality of having the same network delivering the hydrogen probably in the near future. Thank you. If there is any questions, we're happy to take.
Thank you for your excellent presentation. We're proud we have in Oman such a strong, big company like OQ. But since today all the investors are watching us and they want to know about the IPO of the company and where it's going, we were supposed to hear something from you, not only about the data of the company. For that, please, if you can share us better information, we appreciate it.
Honestly, we already have kicked off the process, but thanks to MSX for this roadshow. And we thought we don't want to miss the chance to at least bring everybody. This company is there, very successful company, very robust revenue. And just wait for us few months, and we hope you'll hear good news in the coming few weeks as well.
Since everyone is hungry or whatever to see this IPO,
Then
and
we
we
will,
hope to have some data, some figures, some timings, anything.
the timings we cannot declare it now, but as I said, if you give us a few more weeks, we will surely be making a public announcement. But I think several of you have already heard announcement through OIA that this company is being divested. So
Because
we
we are
are
looking to support MSX. This is why we hope to hear something. Because even Morning Abraj has nothing now, and after that, I don't know.
yeah,
No
we're
one is
setting
giving
the-
any clarity about the timing.
we don't want to declare it now, especially in public, until we firm up our plans. But what we're saying, this is coming very soon. So
We leave it for Amazon. Haitham promise us, let's see what he do.
Any further questions?
I looked at the projections and the general feeling of the company. It's a stable streaming of income. Any potential of growth, because investors in general look for growth. And even if it's a steady growth, even if it's some kind of participation in the price change of gas and the increase of any kind of side of business, because I saw that the model will be very, very, very stable, which looks like more of a fixed income kind of product, not kind of a proper participation of an investment. So is there kind of any change that is possible for giving the company some kind of flavor for investors?
okay.
Yes. Yes, there is a potential and a very good growth actually to the company. We haven't actually factored the forecast for the company, but yes, that's still to come. We already foreseen, we have a price control. We're in the second price control, but we're envisaging a price control that have a very big capital growth. And as we said, the capital growth, as you also mentioned, is a fruit of our EBITDA. But our 5-year plan is showing a growth, yes. And that will come as well when we set the target with our issue manager.
Also, I want to comment on the gas price. We are not affected by the gas price. It's an asset-based, so for investors, it gives them more assurance. I think that's this is not varying, but we do have a growth scenario, and we are also having good strategies we're not trying to limit ourselves only to regulatory business, but this is something we will be disclosing, in due course.
Any other questions? We have two over here. Maybe we make these two our last ones so that we can move on with our agenda. Go ahead.
Yeah, I might not have been focused, but can you just explain to me how do you make your revenue and who pays the company, basically?
So, okay, so currently we have a sole, what do you call, client, which is MEM, Ministry of Energy and Minerals. And as of current status, they're the only client, but we also foresee there would be a multi-shipper. Our revenue have 4 to 5 components. Some of the components are very, very firmed. You get approved every 3 years during the price control with the regulator. So our revenue consists of what do you call OPEX allowance. So we, to some extent, have a leverage to recover our OPEX. We have a depreciation allowance, so we have a RAB asset of 2.6 million, and that will be recovered as well. we have, to some extent, ability to get an inflation recovered, and the tax allowance, whatever we pay for a tax authority, that's also coming back as an income. But the predominant component of the revenue is actually the finance income. So, and that is weighted by the weighted average cost of capital. So we have a solid cost of capital, what they call recovery as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we have the mic passed to the lady at the front? Thank you.
Thank you for the presentations. We are excited as investors because we see a very potential inclusion to the MSX. We classify this company as a giga company, not a mega. It is over like 2 billion size, and it is very sizable and appealing project or company. Since we are new to such a projects in Oman, I would like to hear from you or educate us when it comes to your business model and whether there is any potential disruption in the business model that can affect I'm talking from the risk point of view, that can affect the cash flow, like either from the macro point of view or any micro or internal challenge that can you face?
So to answer the question, we are a secure business as long as we get the country rating at the same level as of today. So even during the pandemic, we are actually above the target in our EBITDA and net profit. So our weighted average cost of capital get evaluated every 3 years. We, within the 3 years, we also entitled for whatever inflation that can happen in the market. So I would say we are secured. We always have a retained earning embedded in our balance sheet to equity. So it's there. So to me, we're also growing in the hydrocarbon, hydrogen, and that's what European countries now envision. So we've recently have what I call a meeting that the European countries envision that, and that's a potential of growth. And we actually have embarked this journey as well last year.
If I may also comment, I think we for almost now more than 20 years we have a good track record of our business growth of our assets in terms of size, and we've highlighted almost even volume, and we have also positioned ourselves nicely because we're not only just transporting the volume and that's it. We're trying to place ourselves manipulating the molecules. So we move the gas with agreement, of course, with the shipper to where the highest value can be created. And that's why we expanded our network such that rich gas go to where the maximum value goes to the investors and, of course, to the shippers. Risk, yeah, you can see that I don't foresee a big risk, honestly, unless somebody can think of, but it is a CapEx-driven also program. And that's why we are also overlooking the worldwide development on new energy and where can we be a player as well. And that's why what we're saying, if the world is going to go 100% hydrogen, then our network is there for it. And that's why we're now working to test the network, and if there's any modifications, then that needs to be agreed with the regulator and the shipper. We're also trying to, we currently have one shipper, but we're trying to encourage multi-shipper as well, and that gives us more robustness into sustainability of our business. We have a good HSC records. We could not highlight a lot of data here, but we have one of the best HSC records in the OQ groups. So we are very proud of that, and we sustained our operations in very difficult times, and this is a good recognition from Oman LNG because they are our most gas consumers.
It's also on the slide that we have the exclusive right of transportation, so we're the only one transporting gas in the country.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mansour Al-Abdali, Managing Director, and Khalid Al-Qasabi, Vice President of Finance of Gas Network Company. We have one more presentation before we end today's agenda. We have a presentation from Majis about a potential IPO by Hamad Al-Wahabi, Acting CEO. Hopefully we can get more info on the potential IPO.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon everybody. يقولون خاتمتها مسك. إن شاء الله تكون مسك بس أخاف إن المسك هذا ما راح نطلعه اليوم. We are far behind our sister companies, Gas Network and Abraj. But Magis is one of successful companies in YA and OQ, and inshallah we'll see it listed one day. The company started in 2006. As you can see here on the screen, started in Suhar, Port and Sahar Free Zone. And the company is basically an integrated utility provider. We supply cooling seawater. We do wastewater treatment, processed water, and potable water. Our customers, any industries in Suhar Free Zone or the port are customer of Magis, and they are in different type of sectors. Approximately, we have 50 customers, and our agreement with them is for 20 years plus. We are also exploring new opportunities, especially in Salalah Free Zone, water plant, and public-private partnership. And also, we have a partner, a JV partner with Aqualia, one of the fourth largest company in Europe. They are our partner in O&M. We outsource O&M, but to our subsidiary, we have 51% of that. I mentioned this already. We are in Salalah, in Suhar. Soon, inshallah, we'll be in Salalah. Our company business highlights. We have very attractive business model. We have well-invested assets. We'll come to that in the presentation. And we have also sustainable growth acceleration. And we have capable and experienced management. I'll skip this. We have stable and high growth business model. We have exclusive concession with Suhar Free Zone, and we are the sole utility provider at the port of Suhar. We have ownership of integrated utility assets such as seawater intake, RO plant, CTRP, and ability, of course, to scale and grow the business. And as I said before, we have long-term agreements, take or pay, for 20 years. And these are the list of customers that we have in Suhar. As I said, we have long-term agreement with customers with an average remaining duration of 15 years. Over 90% of our agreements are take or pay. So that gives you indication that our cash flow is pretty much predictable and also stable. And captive customer base through, of course, through exclusive concession right in Suhar Free Zone. Sorry, I cannot disclose with you the financial information, but this shows you the compound annual growth rate. It is 20% since the establishment in 2007 till 2021. And I'm saying 20%, it's not 3 or 5, it's 20%. And if you look at our financials, it's very, very healthy. And our reporting we are reporting continued growing profit, and our profit is you can say, is double digit. These are our assets. Seawater intake. We have one of the largest intake in the region. We produce roughly 800,000 cubic meter per hour. We have our plant produce 20,000 cubic meter per hour, and we have a treatment plant that can also produce roughly 20,000 cubic meter. And we have different type of networks, of course, at the port and at the free zone. This network for the cooling water, for processed water, for potable water, and also for the treated industrial effluent. Sustainability is an integral part of what we do. We have a solar plant, a captive solar plant that feed our needs of electricity. We have planned to produce 15 megawatt solar floating solar in our intake. And also we are exploring a hydropower. We signed MOU with one of leading company, and we are expecting this project to commence soon, hopefully by next year. We have a strategy to grow. Sohar is growing. Yes, the port is almost full, but the free zone have a huge potential to grow. And since we are there, since we have the concession, we have, of course, we will benefit from that growth. But also, our plan is to cover Oman. That's why last year, we signed MOU with Salalah Free Zone. And just recently, we completed the business case, and hopefully, we will reach to an agreement with them this year. Also, we are participating in public-private partnership. We gave our bid just recently in month of March to Hayadiyam. And we see trend for public-private partnership. So the growth plan is there, and we're not only talk about it, but we are executing them. And also we have plan in future, maybe 3-4 years time, to go and develop facilities or provide similar service in the GCC. I mentioned this already. We have opportunities. We are exploring these opportunities. We are working with them either in Salalah or public-private partnership or through joint bids, especially in the GCC. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your listening. Any question? Sorry, I cannot disclose any financial information at this stage. Huh? Time will come. It's private today. We are not planning to list this company soon, anytime soon this year. I don't think the market also can accommodate 3 companies at the same time. Abraj is going IPO, Gas Network going IPO, listing Magis along with them. I think it's not. It will come definitely, maybe next year, end of next year or year after. That for the shareholder to decide. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No further questions? I believe that's the agenda for today. No further presenters. Thank you all for attending. The Investor Roadshow by Muscat Stock Exchange. It's been a fruitful event. Thank you for joining us over the past 2 days. I hope that you've all benefited from being present in this conference. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks, everyone. And thank you to our sponsors, Invest, Imantel, Bank Muscat, HSBC, Sahar International, NBO, Bank Dhafar, Muscat Securities, and our media sponsors, Al-Wisal, Al-Shabiba, and supporting sponsor, Muscat Clearing and Depository. Thanks to our CEO of Muscat Exchange, Mr. Haytham bin Salem Al-Salmi. Thank you for everyone who helped organize this event. Thank you to the hotel who helped us out yesterday during the power cut. They managed to get everything up and running in time. And thank you to you, attendees, for this event wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you, everyone. There are a few refreshments outside the hall, so you may help yourself before exiting. Thank you.